Wine number three, Zinfandel, Mauritson Zinfandel. I remember having a conversation with Greg Drexler, one of our wine club members, Greg and Jen Drexler, about Mauritson, and I know they're fans. They visited the winery. I met Clay Mauritson about 10 years ago. Clay actually has played football, I think, at Oregon or Oregon State. He is sixth generation grape grower. His family's been growing grapes in Sonoma County, Dry Creek, Rock Pile, AVA for six generations since I think they first moved there in 1860s. I think since 1880s they've been growing grapes. He's the first one to actually make wine, and he's been doing a really, really good job of it. They make a killer Sauvignon Blanc, amazing Cabernet, a Bordeaux style blend. That's fantastic, and just great Zinfandel. My style is Zinfandel. Now, interesting about Zinfandel is that a lot of people equate, and there's a look at the label for you. Dry Creek Valley, Sonoma County, 2019. Zinfandel's had like this up and down rap for many years. Of course, there's white Zinfandel, and they make a white Zinfandel, by the way, but not like the Sutter Home variety, but a dry white Zinfandel. That's a really, really good rosé, and in very small quantities. Zinfandel was used for jug wines, Italian immigrant jug wines. In fact, if you talk to anyone who's been making wine for generations in our area, home winemakers, Zinfandel is usually one of the grapes that they've gotten. Zinfandel, Petit Syrah, Alicante Bouschet, and the reason for the popularity of these grapes, especially with the Italian American and other immigrant American groups, is that the grapes traveled well. They're thicker skin. They're some of the last to be picked, and they travel well across the country in container cars back then. So they didn't get crushed and they didn't rot, and they made a very rich, robust wine. Zinfandel itself, actually, for a lot of years they thought was an American grape, but it is not. They did DNA testing, which they do with grapes, among other things, and the DNA testing showed that it was the same lineage as Primitivo in southern Italy. The Italians got all really excited, and they're like, see, it's not even an American grape, it's ours. Further DNA testing, they'll prove that it's actually a Croatian, Eastern European grape with, I really have a hard time pronouncing it. It's got lots of consonants in it. Just trust me on that. So, in fact, you'll see Primitivo on labels now in some California wines when they use some of those clones, and you'll actually see Zinfandel now on some Italian labels, generally all the same. But Zinfandel's got out of control. For IPA drinkers, you know how IPA's got to be like 15% alcohol, quintuple hopped, and they just became not really fun to drink. Maybe interesting, but not fun to drink. And people are just trying to outbrawn one another, outdo one another. Zinfandel's like that too, because it is late ripening, because of the heat. A lot of them get up to over 16% alcohol, and again, they're just not fun to drink, and they get whacked pretty easily. There's some producers now making really dialed back Zins. Had one from Brock Cellars the other night that was about 13%. Had one from Martha Stewman that was 12 and change. Really nice, lighter, enjoyable drinking wines that still taste like Zinfandel. But if you want something that's got Zinfandel, that's got the characteristic richness and brambly kind of taste and great ripe fruit and a nice touch of oak, but that's not overdone, this comes in under 15% alcohol. Clay's always had a great touch with his Zins. I think they're probably my favorite stylistically. And as it gets hotter and hotter, it's not easy to make a dialed back Zinfandel in California, but he certainly does it. He doesn't make a lot of it. I think about 1,300 cases. I tried to get this actually back for one of the first months, and it just wasn't available. And a lot of times the wines now are being sucked up by the wineries, wine clubs themselves before they get distributed, as we know. And when I spoke with Erin Atia, there really wasn't any coming into this area at all. So this is a new batch, and of the new batch, I think she said there's maybe 25 or 30 cases in New Jersey or in the metro area. So I grabbed 5, just like the Marsanne. Again, only 25 cases of that came into the area, and I grabbed 5 and put 3 on hold for us too. And that's what I try to do. I try to give you wines that you're just not going to find everywhere else, that will introduce you to new grapes, new wineries, new wine regions, new styles. And that's what I'm doing with the Zin. This is a really good summer barbecue grilled meat wine. This is a wine that I would have with Southern Italian fare. I can have it with red sauce or a big plate of pasta too. But again, this is like a grilled meat. This is burgers. This is pizza. This is barbecue. This is steak. I think you'll enjoy it. Again, it's got this nice richness to it. You're going to taste it's really purpley. It's a purpley wine. When you open it up, you're going to see what I mean by that. And just has a really, really nice taste. And again, Zinfandel sort of has fallen off again lately, but there's just some really, really beautiful ones. This is 85% Zinfandel, 15% Petit Syrah. It is not your Italian grandfather's jug wine. Not that those were bad; those were pretty good. But this is a good wine. Enjoy it, and hope to see you next week.